Paul had unknowingly reached a place where all the inhabitants were as small as ants. The guards there mistook him for a giant monster and tied him with strong ropes to the pillars so that he could not move. After a while, Paul gathered courage and tried with all his strength to rise. With his sudden jerk, even the pillars were uprooted, and he freed himself from the bondage. At first, Paul thought it was all a dream, but as soon as the general struck his leg with a spear, he realized that it was all real. After this, on the general's order, the soldiers trapped ropes into his pants. After a lot of pulling, he fell down and fainted. When he regained consciousness, he found himself surrounded by tiny soldiers who had bound him and were taking him toward the palace. News of his capture spread throughout the kingdom in no time. People rushed in amazement to see him. They had never seen such a huge man before. When Paul was brought before the king, even the courtiers were stunned by his enormous figure. The general believed that he was a spy from an enemy state. Therefore, as punishment, he was forced into labor in the fields, where he had to pull the plow like an ox. To keep Paul under control, many strange devices were strapped to his body. But fate turned. Suddenly, a neighboring kingdom attacked and took the princess captive. As soon as this news came, the general immediately turned to Paul and led him toward the palace. Upon arrival, he strictly forbade anyone else to help. He claimed he would handle everything alone. But Karl knew very well that the general was only boasting, so he unchained Paul and pleaded with him to help. The enemies were just escaping with the princess when suddenly Paul appeared. He grabbed the attackers one by one and threw them into the water, and the rest fled in fear. Thus, he saved the princess's life. But the trouble was not yet over. The palace was on fire, and the king was trapped inside. This fire had been set by the enemies. Paul tried to rescue the king, but his hands got burned. Just then, Karl said, "To put out the fire, a lot of water is needed." Paul immediately understood what he meant. Without hesitation, he took off his huge underwear and sprayed a yellow stream over the flames. Within moments, the fire was completely extinguished. Although the stench was unbearable, the king's life was saved. Meanwhile, the boastful general also arrived there. As Paul accidentally turned his head, the remaining stream fell all over him. When the king came out, the atmosphere was extremely strange. The sharp odor had spread everywhere, but the king was not angry. Instead, he considered Paul a savior. For this reason, Paul became the hero of the little people.